discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight. I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
It's the World News here at SOUQ News Television, where we bring you stories around business, economy, and development. We are reaching you live from our studios in Lagos. I am Grace Komolafe. First, let's bring you some of our top stories. President Tinubu orders nationwide training for NIMC's employees across 36 states and FCT. Nigeria to bar taxable persons without TIN from banking insurance starting 2026. Rwanda, DR Congo partner with US to reform mineral supply chain under peace-linked framework. US, UK to seal tech and nuclear energy deals during Trump's second visit to states. Iheanacho scores stoppage time penalty on debut to give Celtic 2-1 win over Kilmarnock.
Afrobeats is a classic overnight success story, except it didn't happen overnight. I'm happy to be here. One of the key things about the Omniverse is that it's designed to go beyond an event and designed to be fully something that people can engage beyond the summit. The point being that Nigeria has so much to bring to the world in terms of these things, but we will be bringing fresh energy, fresh ideas, a fresh engagement, and we're obviously open to collaboration. But hip-hop, it never dies. What's the difference between Thor and Shango? Thor is approaching $50 billion in revenue. Shango's broke somewhere outside Lagos. And that's a lack of imagination on our part, Africa, and they're all Nigerian. So to be seen and to be noticed is very hard if you're not in the place where all the noise is being made.
Thank you for joining us. Now we'll bring you the news in details. President Bola Tinubu has directed the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, to roll out a nationwide training program for its 3,780 employees across all cadres. The training currently on the way in all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory marks the first structured program for all staff in the Commission's history. Confirming the development, NIMC's head of corporate communications, Kayode Adegoke, said the initiative is aimed at boosting efficiency and strengthening the Commission's capacity to deliver on its mandate. Since the appointment of Abisoye Koka Odushote as Director General, NIMC has introduced a series of workforce reforms, including a 25 to 35% salary increase, additional transport allowances, provision of free staff buses, and the distribution of more than 2,500 enrollment devices. Officials said the training programs is expected to enhance staff competence, promote service delivery, and reinforce NIMC's role in driving Nigeria's digital identity agenda. The reform, according to management, are also designed to improve governance, widen access to economic opportunities, and accelerate financial and social inclusion nationwide. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, has outlined the benefit of the federal government's new tax law, stressing that it will strengthen compliance and boost revenue generation for the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Speaking at a webinar organized by Aviation and Allied Company Limited, Assistant Director of FIRS, Mrs. Nkechi Umegakwe, explained that the new regime was designed not only to improve the nation's fiscal position, but also to balance the impact on critical sectors. She noted that provisions have been made to reflect developments in the aviation industry to ensure that air travel is not severely affected by the changes. According to Umegakwe, the law represents a strategic step towards modernizing Nigeria's tax framework, widening the revenue base, and ensuring greater transparency. She added that the emphasis is on creating a system that encourages voluntary compliance while addressing loopholes that have historically limited government earnings. FIRS assured stakeholders that the reform would deliver long-term economic benefits without stifling growth in key sectors like aviation. Moving on, borrowing costs for government and businesses in Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya have surged over the past 5 years, driven by policy weaknesses, inflation, and unfavorable market conditions, according to a new report by Moody's Ratings released on Monday. The study noted that while sub-Saharan African economies face mounting funding needs to sustain growth and development, they continue to grapple with higher interest rates than advanced economies, a challenge compounded by limited capital inflows. Moody's identified Nigeria B3 stable, South Africa BA2 stable, and Kenya CAA1 positive as 3 of the region's largest markets, burdened by structural weaknesses that kept debt costs elevated. Despite broader access to funding channels over time, the agency stressed that reliance on expensive debt and limited equity options remain major barriers to investment and growth. Analysts warn that unless reforms are implemented to address inflationary pressures, fiscal gaps, and market inefficiencies, high borrowing costs will persist, slowing down infrastructure investment and private sector expansion. The Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee has announced that from January 1, 2026, taxable persons without a tax identification number 10 will be barred from operating bank accounts, pension funds, insurance policies, or investment accounts. Chairman of the committee, Taiwo Oyedele, explained that the new enforcement is in line with the Nigeria Tax Administration Act, which makes tax registration compulsory for all income earners and businesses. He added that individuals who already possess valid TINs will not need to reapply, while new applicants can obtain their tax ID at no cost. According to Oyedele, individuals can secure a TIN using their National Identification Number (NIN), while businesses can use their Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) registration documents. The reform, he noted, is designed to strengthen compliance, expand the nation's tax base, and ensure transparency in financial transactions. Still in the news, Nigeria's Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, has highlighted the growing importance of real estate in shaping Africa's future, noting the rapid urbanization, rising incomes, and technology innovation are transforming cities and communities across the continent. Delivering the keynote address at the 24th Annual Conference of the African Real Estate Society, AFRES, Dangiwa stressed that the real estate sector is not just about bricks and mortars, but serves as an engine of growth, a vehicle for investment, and a foundation for sustainable development. He noted that Africa's real estate landscape is evolving rapidly, presenting both challenges and opportunities that must be addressed through innovation, policy reforms, and sustainable practices. Dangiwa urged stakeholders to harness the sector's potential to build resilient cities and support inclusive economic growth across the continent. Moving on, Nigeria's quest for a seat on the International Maritime Organization (IMO) Council under Category C has entered a new phase with a high-profile diplomatic engagement in New York. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, formally addressed permanent representatives of African nations to United Nations during a reception at Nigeria House. The campaign, which was officially launched on June 18 at the IMO headquarters in London, is part of Nigeria's sustained effort to rally international support ahead of the upcoming council elections later this year. In his address, Oyetola outlined Nigeria's maritime vision and commitment to strengthening global shipping governance, while assuring that the country remains a reliable partner in advancing maritime safety, security, and sustainability. He also extended the warm greetings of President Bola Tinubu to the UN envoys and thanked them for their presence at the event, held ahead of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Cases of vandalism and theft of telecom infrastructure in Nigeria have continued despite the CNI executive order signed by President Bola Tinubu on June 24, 2024, designating key information and communications technology ICT system and networks as critical national information infrastructure, CNII. The order criminalized any damage or interference with such infrastructure aimed at curbing cyber threats and physical attacks that disrupt services and harm the economy. However, fresh data from the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) shows that the menace remains widespread. On average, mobile network operators report about 1,100 fiber cuts, 545 incidents of access denial, and 99 cases of theft weekly in 2025. These persistent attacks have continued to undermine network stability, service quality, and customer experience nationwide. The continued sabotage highlights the challenge of enforcing the executive order, even as industry stakeholders call for stronger security collaboration, stricter penalties, and greater public awareness. Without urgent action, Nigeria's digital economy and national security remain at risk. You are watching the World News here at SOUQ News Television. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories. Please stay with us.
Nigerian leather industry has a storied history, particularly in the northern parts of the country where the art of leather farming and crafting has been perfected over centuries. Traditionally, leather was used primarily for functional items like sandals, bags, and saddles, with little emphasis on fashion. However, the narrative has changed drastically in recent years as Nigerian leather has evolved from a utilitarian product to a symbol of luxury and high fashion. Here is a special report by Bayo Olaoye. The turning point for Nigerian leather came as local designers began to recognize its potential beyond traditional uses. They started to experiment with new designs, creating products that appeal to the modern consumer while maintaining the heritage of craftsmanship. The result has been a wave of leather products that are not only functional, but also stylish and desirable on the global stage. One of the key factors driving the revolution is the exceptional quality of Nigerian leather. Known for its durability and unique texture, Nigerian leather, particularly from goats and cattle, has become highly sought after by fashion houses both within and outside Africa. This demand has encouraged local artisans to up their game, focusing on quality control and finishing techniques to meet international standards. Moreover, Nigerian leather products have benefited from the global trend towards sustainable and ethically produced goods. Consumers are increasingly turning away from massively produced items in favor of the handcrafted sustainable alternatives. Nigerian leather made using traditional methods with minimal environmental impact fits perfectly into this narrative. This has opened up markets for Nigerian leather goods, particularly in Europe and North America, where there is a growing appreciation for products with a story and a conscience. The rise of Nigerian leather on the fashion scene is also closely tied to the country's booming creative industry. Fashion designers, many of whom had gained international recognition, are incorporating leather into their collections and innovative ways, from sleek handbags and bespoke shoes to stylish jackets and accessories. The Nigerian leather is becoming a staple in high fashion. This trend is not only boosting the profile of Nigerian fashion, but also creating new opportunities for economic growth. The leather industry, once dominated by small-scale craftsmen, is now attracting significant investment. Entrepreneurs are setting up modern tannery and workshops, creating jobs and fostering skills development in the process. This industrialization of leather products is helping to formalize what was once an informal sector, leading to better working conditions and high incomes for artisans. However, the success of Nigerian leather market did not emerge without challenges. The industry still faces issues related to infrastructure, access to finance, and competition from imported goods. Additionally, there is the need for more investment in technology and innovation to further enhance the quality of leather products and make them more competitive in the global market. Despite these challenges, the future of Nigerian leather products looks bright. There is a growing recognition of the value of locally produced leather goods both within Nigeria and globally. This is evident in the increasing number of fashion shows and trade fairs dedicated to promoting Nigerian leather products, as well as the rising demand from international buyers. The evolution of Nigerian leather from a utilitarian material to a symbol of high fashion is a testament to the creativity and resilience of the Nigerian artisans. It reflects the broader trend in the global fashion industry towards sustainability and craftsmanship. As the world continues to embrace African fashion, Nigerian leather is poised to become a major player on the international stage, offering a unique blend of tradition, quality, and style. This is just the beginning of what promises to be an exciting new chapter for Nigerian leather.
Glad to know you never left. Now we'll bring you more stories. Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, are set to collaborate with third parties, including the United States, to overhaul their mineral supply chain under a new economic framework tied to a Washington-brokered peace deal. The two countries will work to implement reforms aimed at boosting transparency, attracting foreign investment, and ensuring traceability in the mineral sector. The agreement is now under discussion with key stakeholders, including private sector players, multilateral development banks, and donor agencies from partner nations. The move comes as both nations seek to stabilize relations and harness their vast mineral wealth, particularly cobalt and coltan, critical to global tech supply chains, while reducing smuggling and financing of armed groups. Analysts say the framework, if finalized, could mark a turning point for regional economic cooperation and global resource security. However, its success will hinge on sustained international support and political will from both Kigali and Kinshasa. South Africa's longer-term inflation expectations have dropped to their lowest level on record following the central bank's move to push for a lower inflation target. A quarterly survey revealed on Monday. According to the survey, analysts, businesses, and trade unions now project annual inflation to average 4.2% over the next 5 years, down from 4.4% in the second quarter reading. This marks the lowest forecast since records began, reflecting increased confidence in monetary policy direction. The survey results followed recent comments by the South Africa Reserve Bank, which emphasized its commitment to anchor inflation closer to the midpoint of its 3 to 6% target range. Official data showed inflation at 3.5% in July, the latest available figure staying well within the bank's target band. Analysts suggest the downward adjustment in expectations signals greater trust in the central bank's inflation fighting stance. However, they caution that persistent risk from global energy prices, currency volatility, and domestic supply bottlenecks could still disrupt the stability outlook. India's export grew in August despite the impact of new United States tariffs, highlighting the country's resilience in global trade. Official data revealed stronger shipment volumes, reflecting the ability of Indian businesses to adapt swiftly to external pressures while keeping momentum in overseas markets. The government's supportive measures, including recent tax cuts, are boosting confidence among exporters. Many firms are reworking supply chains, expanding into fresh markets, and taking advantage of domestic incentives to safeguard competitiveness. These efforts are helping industries maintain stability while tapping into new growth opportunities. The latest export performance not only offset tariff challenges, but also strengthened India's position as a rising global trade hub. By sustaining market access and building resilience, the country is reinforcing its long-term path towards stronger economic growth and global integration. And now Thailand's Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul has announced urgent measures to stabilize the baht after a sharp rise in its value. He assured during a meeting with the Federation of Thai Industries that the government will work closely with industry leaders to protect exporters, especially rice traders, while also maintaining investor confidence. A new cabinet team awaiting royal approval is expected to bring experienced leadership to key ministries. Ekniti Nitihampapas is set to lead finance. Autapo Rakbibon will take charge of energy, and Sofaje Sotompon is to head commerce, signaling a strong commitment to trade, energy management, and financial stability. Thailand's economy is projected to grow steadily despite global pressures. Planned interest rate cuts and a digital wallet scheme are expected to drive consumer spending, with the baht ranked among the strongest currencies in Asia this year. The government aims to balance currency stability with long-term economic competitiveness. Still in the news, South Korea is exploring a currency swap arrangement with the United States as part of effort to strengthen economic stability. The move is aimed at supporting the won, safeguarding trade flows and providing businesses with greater confidence as tariff negotiations continue. Officials in Seoul are positioning the strategy as a step towards deeper financial cooperation. By seeking innovative solutions, South Korea is creating opportunities to reinforce its reserves, protect exporters, and expand long-term growth capacity in a changing global market. This proactive approach highlights the country's resilience and determination to sustain progress with stronger safeguards in place. South Korea is charting a path that balances stability with development, ensuring competitiveness in international trade and economic partnerships. And away from that story, China's economy slowed in August as factory output and retail sales recorded their weakest growth in 1 year, intensifying pressure on policymakers to sustain momentum. Authorities announced readiness to roll out fiscal and monetary measures, including loan subsidies, interest rate cuts, and targeted spending to keep the economy on track for a 5% growth target. Manufacturers are being urged to expand export into Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America to offset weaker demand from the United States. At the same time, officials are preparing initiatives to boost household spending and service consumption, alongside easing measures that will support business investment and stability. Despite current challenges, China's leadership remains focused on resilience and long-term growth by diversifying trade markets, reinforcing domestic demand, and sustaining consistent policy supports. The government seeks to safeguard its economy and maintain competitiveness as the world's second largest economy. You are still watching the World News here at SOUQ News Television. We'll take a break again, and when we come back, we'll bring you the rest of the story. Please stay with us.
Lesotho, a country like no other on the African continent, and in fact, like no other in the world. Nestled entirely within the borders of South Africa, Lesotho holds a unique geographical distinction. It is the only independent nation on Earth located entirely above 1,000 meters in elevation. Its lowest point, at 1,400 meters above sea level, is higher than the highest points in countries like Netherlands, Denmark, or even the United Kingdom. This extraordinary altitude earns Lesotho its nickname, the Kingdom in the Sky. Lesotho is one of just 3 countries in the world that are completely surrounded by one other country, the others being San Marino and Vatican City in Italy. But unlike them, Lesotho is not a microstate. It boasts a proud population, a strong cultural identity, and a landscape marked by rugged mountains, deep valleys, and fast-flowing rivers. What also makes Lesotho stand out in Africa is its climate. While much of the continent is known for its warmth, Lesotho regularly experiences snowfall, especially in its highland regions. In fact, it is home to Afriski, Africa's only ski resort south of the equator, drawing tourists who seek winter sports in an unlikely location. But Lesotho's uniqueness goes beyond geography and weather. The Basotho people are known for their iconic wool blankets, worn with pride across the country. These are not just for warmth, they are deeply symbolic, representing milestones, rites of passage, royalty, and social status. No traditional ceremony is complete without the presence of these beautifully patterned and color-coded blankets. The traditional Basotho hat, or mokorotlo, is another national symbol, so important that it appears on the country's license plates and currency. Lesotho also harnesses the power of its water. Its Lesotho Highlands Water Project exports fresh mountain water to South Africa while generating electricity for domestic use. Water, often called white gold, is one of the country's most valuable resources. In many ways, Lesotho defies expectations. It is a country of heights, both literal and cultural. In a continent known for deserts and plains, Lesotho offers snow and slopes. In a region often shaped by lowland agriculture, Lesotho rises up proud, elevated, and unshaken. Lesotho is not just unique to Africa, it is unique to the world. This is the uniqueness of Africa, and today we spotlight Lesotho, the kingdom in the sky. I'm Moyosore Adebi for SOUQ News TV. Guinea-Bissau, a small coastal nation in West Africa, often escapes the spotlight due to its size and political instability. However, this nation possesses a wealth of cultural, ecological, and social uniqueness that sets it apart from many of its African peers. From matriarchal communities to remarkable biodiversity, Guinea-Bissau offers a compelling study in African distinctiveness. With a population of just over 2 million, Guinea-Bissau is home to more than 20 ethnic groups, each contributing unique languages, customs, and traditional practices to the national identity. The country's linguistic diversity is further enriched by the widespread use of Guinea-Bissau Creole, a Portuguese-based Creole language that serves as a unifying medium of communication across different communities. Formerly part of the Cabo Empire and later a Portuguese colony, Guinea-Bissau was among the first African countries to engage in a protracted armed struggle for independence, led by the African Party for the Independence of Guinea and Cape Verde under the revolutionary Amilcar Cabral. Its bold resistance and eventual liberation in 1973 set a precedent for anti-colonial movements across the continent. The country remains one of the few Lusophone nations in Africa, sharing strong cultural and diplomatic ties with Brazil, Portugal, and other Portuguese-speaking countries, forming a distinct Lusophone African identity. Guinea-Bissau's biodiversity is another defining characteristic, particularly the Bijagos Archipelago, a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve consisting of more than 80 islands. This ecological haven is not only vital for marine conservation, but also embodies a unique matriarchal culture where women play central roles in community leadership and spiritual practices. The islands are recognized globally for their rich marine life, including sea turtles, manatees, and migratory birds, attracting researchers and conservationists from around the world. Economically, Guinea-Bissau is highly reliant on cashew nut production, which forms the backbone of its export economy. Despite recurring political instability and limited infrastructure, the country remains an important agricultural hub with untapped potential in fisheries, tourism, and sustainable development. Its geographic position along the Atlantic and proximity to other West African nations also offers opportunities for regional trade and integration. Guinea-Bissau's resilience in the face of persistent challenges, ranging from coups and weak governance to poverty and illicit trade, continues to shape its unique narrative within Africa. It is a nation marked by endurance, cultural vibrancy, and natural beauty, striving to transform its rich heritage and strategic assets into sustainable growth and global engagement. I'm Moyosore Adebi for SOUQ News TV.
Glad to know know you're still with us. Now we'll bring you the rest of the story. The United States and Britain are set to announce agreement on technology and civil nuclear energy during US President Donald Trump's second state visit to the UK this week. London is also hoping to conclude talks on steel tariffs as part of an anticipated trade deal. The visit, scheduled for Wednesday, will feature the full weight of British royal pageantry, including a carriage procession, state banquet, military flypast, and gun salute in Trump's honor. It marks an unprecedented second state visit for a U.S. president, underscoring the high-profile nature of the bilateral relationship. According to officials, the agreement will focus on strengthening cooperation in cutting-edge technology and nuclear energy as both nations seek to deepen strategic ties amid global economic and security shifts. UK leaders are also pushing to resolve outstanding steel tariff issues that have strained trade flows since Washington imposed duties under Trump's first term. Now, the United States and China have agreed to extend their tariff truce for another 90 days, temporarily averting a steep escalation in their trade war. The deal, reached on August 11, maintains U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports at 30% and Chinese tariffs on American goods at 10%. Without the extension, Washington's duty was set to skyrocket to 145% and Beijing's to 125%, a move that analysts warned could have triggered a near-total trade embargo between the world's two largest economies. The pause provides much-needed breathing room for importers ahead of the autumn surge in shipment tied to the Christmas shopping season. Goods such as electronics, clothing, and toys will continue to move at lower tariff rates, easing pressure on global supply chains. While the extension avoids immediate disruption, observers caution that it only delays a potential shutdown. Negotiators on both sides now face a narrow window to strike a broader deal before the truce lapses in early November. Away from that, the World Trade Organization has put into force a landmark agreement designed to curb billions of dollars in subsidies that flew overfishing. The decision, finalized after more than 2 decades of negotiations, marks a turning point for marine protection by banning subsidies for overfished stocks and fishing in international waters. With countries like Brazil, Kenya, Tonga, and Vietnam ratifying the pact, the deal gained the support needed to take effect. It is the first WTO agreement since 2017 and includes provision for a special fund to help poorer nations transition, ensuring that sustainability goes hand in hand with economic opportunities. Environmental advocates praised the move as a lifeline for ocean ecosystems and coastal communities. By curbing destructive subsidies, fish stocks are expected to recover, supporting food security and livelihoods. The deal demonstrates how international cooperation can balance environmental protection with long-term global prosperity. Moving ahead, Canada's Immigration and Refugee Board, IRB, has released new data showing that between January and August 2025, a total of 3,548 Nigerian nationals applied for asylum. Of these, 1,596 claims were rejected, while 2,292 were approved, giving Nigeria a 65% acceptance rate. Nigeria ranks among the top asylum seekers nations in Canada, alongside Mexico, India, Haiti, and Colombia. Analysts attribute the surge to applications to persistent insecurity from Boko Haram, insurgency, and worsening economic instability at home. Ontario and Alberta continue to host the largest Nigerian asylum-seeking communities. Since 2013, Canada has denied 13,171 Nigerian asylum claims, but approved 10,580, including 2,230 approvals in 2024 alone. Despite fluctuating rejection numbers over the years, Nigeria remains consistently among the top 10 sources of accepted refugee claims in Canada. Officials noted that while approval rates vary depending on individual cases, Nigeria's high acceptance ranking reflects recognition of genuine protection needs among many applicants. And now the United States imports of Nigerian goods fell by 41% in July 2025, sliding from $639 million in June to $379 million, according to new data from the U.S. Census Bureau. American exports to Nigeria also dropped sharply from $919 million to $584 million, causing Washington's trade surplus with Africa's largest economy to $206 million. Cumulatively, between January and July, U.S. exports to Nigeria totaled $3.92 billion, while imports from Nigeria reached $3.14 billion. The sharp decline follows President Donald Trump's decision to raise tariffs on Nigerian goods to 15%, a move that had dampened demand for non-oil exports. Although crude oil remains partly exempt from the new tariff regime, analysts warn the protectionist stance could severely limit Nigeria's access to one of its most strategic markets. Trade experts note that unless the tariff issue is resolved, Nigeria may face further economic strain, especially as non-oil exports struggle to compete under the harsher U.S. trade conditions. Moving ahead, now we'll bring you sport. Kelechi Iheanacho announced his arrival in Scotland in style, scoring a decisive stoppage time penalty to hand Celtic a 2-1 victory over Kilmarnock in their Scottish Premier Football League match. Day 5 clash at Rugby Park on Sunday. The Nigerian striker, who signed for Celtic after ending his contract with Spanish side Sevilla, came off the bench in the 70th minute to replace Japan international Daisen Made, despite limited time on the pitch. Iheanacho made an immediate impact by keeping pressure on the Kilmarnock defense before being handed penalty duty in the dying minutes. In the 96th minute, he confidently dispatched the sport kick to secure all 3 points for Brendan Rodgers' men, sending the away fans into raptures. Moments later, however, the 27-year-old was shown a yellow card in the 97th minute. The goal marked Iheanacho's first competitive strike in 6 months, offering Celtic fans a glimpse of the firepower he brings as the champion aim to defend their league title. Wrapping up, Liverpool once again relieved on late drama to preserve their flawless Premier League start, edging Bola 1-0 at Anfield on Sunday, courtesy of Mohamed Salah's stoppage time penalty. The Reds dominated possession but struggled to break down a resolute Burnley defense, with goalkeeper Duo Braka producing several key saves to structure and slot men. As the game entered added time, substitute Jeremy Frimpong played the ball into the arm of the Burnley defender, prompting the referee to award a penalty. Salah, Liverpool's talisman, stepped up under immense pressure and calmly slotted the sport kick pass Duo Braka to send away fans into wide celebrations. The Egyptian strike not only maintained Liverpool's 100% league record this season, but also extended his tally as one of the Premier League's most reliable scorers in decisive moments. The victory keeps Liverpool firmly on top of the table, while Burnley were left disappointed after holding out for nearly the entire match. And that's a wrap on the World News this afternoon. But before we go, we'll bring you a recap. President Tinubu orders nationwide training for NIMC employees across 36 states and FCT. Nigeria to bar taxable persons without TIN for banking and insurance starting 2026. Rwanda and DR Congo partner with US to reform mineral supply chains on the peace-linked framework. And US, UK to seal tech and nuclear energy deals during Trump's second state visit. Lastly, Henacho scores stoppage time penalty on debut to give Celtic 2-1 win over Kilmarnock. We say very thank you for staying with us. We urge you to follow us on all our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV. My name is Grace Komalafe. Do have a good afternoon.
Yes, it's a beautiful day. It's a fantastic day. It's an awesome day. And we are super, super excited. Guess what? It is the Femi Walsh Prestige Partnership that is being flagged off right here at the Federal Palace Hotel. Oh my God.
That thing sums awesomeness. We're being at a place where every conversation about Nigeria's independence happened. And then also thinking about royalty, you know, things that make us feel like we're kings and queens when we come into this place. I mean, I'm oozing at this point.
You know, talk about the scenery, the ambience, the rooms. This hotel is actually really, really good. And the fact that Femi Walsh is partnering with Federal Palace Hotel doesn't just give me the chills, like it makes me happy. Happy.
We're going to be having exclusive events, coverage, and we're going to bring in our expertise to come and give them that edge amongst
that finesse.
Taking the brand globally through our media. My God, it's not something you want to miss out on this journey that I just started. We're going places, sis.
The Federal Palace Hotel was established in 1960 and constructed by the A.G. Leventis Group. Perhaps one of the most notable thoughts about Federal Palace is that it was used as the venue for independent celebration of Nigeria in 1960. Over the years, the Federal Palace has now become a world-class ultra-modern facility with a touch of elegance. The hotel, which has been recognized nationally and internationally, has become a tourist attraction for many. Perhaps this is the reason Femi Walsh Group decided to partner with the Federal Palace by supporting the hotel with resources and equipment for coverage of all the hotel's events. The president and CEO of Femi Walsh Group, Victor Oluwafemi Walsh, accompanied by the Vice President, Idahosa Osamanze, paid a visit to the hotel during the exhibition of the popular Iriri Arts Gallery. Was a day of joy for each of the artists to see that the president of Femi Walsh Group was actually fascinated by their art pieces.
My name is Muiba Wonu Folami, an indigenous of Lagos State, Ikorodu, to be specific. I was born in Lagos 86 years ago, and to the glory of God, I'm still alive and well, and trying to be relative in the cause of women. I attended primary school. I started at Ansarudin Alakuru School. From there to CMS Girls School, and then Queen's College, Lagos. From Queen's College, I went to the Portsmouth College of Technology for my A-levels, and then University of London for my first degree in law. The same university for my master's degree in law. I had, between obtaining my master's and my first degree, I was in Nigeria to do the mandatory law school course. I was one of the last people to do a 3-month course before it was changed to 1 year. And then went back to England for my master's. And from there to lecture at the University of Zambia. Back to Nigeria, I was appointed by Dr. Taslim Elias, the CJ of Nigeria, to the Commission for Advance Notice to Lawyers of Developments in Law. It was a commission funded by the Ford Foundation to keep lawyers abreast of developments in law. I was a director there. Then from there, I was admitted to the Federal Ministry of Justice. After being legal advisor to many ministries, I ended up as the Director of Public Prosecutions for the Federation. And after that, whilst I was the Director of DPP, I was appointed Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Lagos State. After retirement, I've been involved in social work, in religion. I've always had religion, but I spend more time on religion. I read, I watch telly, and I live a good life to the glory of God. You see, when you begin to think that it was not until 2007 that women started to get equal pay in tennis tournaments. And it was something that was fought for. Little things like that does not add to equality. But when it was done, it may be small, but at work, even at work in employment, women are still discriminated against. And most women do 2 jobs. They look after the home, and they do the normal work that a man does in an office. Why I fail to understand this inequality in the treatment of women is that the work, the responsibilities in the workplace is not reduced for women, even though we do not want to be paid the same salary as men. It's a fight that has continued, and in that area, I think we need to do more to push for more recognition. Women have contributed immensely to the society. The men that are now resisting equal pay were brought up by women. Exactly. That's what I do not understand, that they can think like that. We continue to push
But how can we speed this up?
By bringing it to the attention of world powers, recognition by every country of equal opportunities, equal pay. I want to know, I want somebody to explain to me the jobs that women cannot do.
Yeah.
They've contributed immensely. Even in the new thing, IT, we're well at par with men. So I do not see the reason for it. Unfortunately, I did not experience it because when I left university, I practiced law briefly in my uncle's chambers before I went to University of Zambia as a lecturer. There, my position was enhanced in the sense that I was a foreigner and I got all the benefits of being a foreigner, serving in their service. Fortunately, in Nigeria today, the federal government does not discriminate in terms of salaries. Whether you're a man or a woman, you get the same salary scale. And you are promoted on equal basis. Kudos to the federal government, to Nigeria for that. But in the private sector, things are different. In some companies, this is the area that we have to work on because the job content is the same. Some of these facilities are available in Nigeria. I learned by being a member of the Society for the Disabled that every government body must admit a certain percentage of women and of disabled people. So most times this opportunity is not taken. They are bound to employ them. We continue to push for that to be implemented in most ministries. It's important because it's there. You have to take a certain percentage of disabled people to work in government positions. It's important that we work to enforce that rule in our society. When it comes to discrimination, Nigeria is way ahead of some developed countries because we, through slavery, we faced discrimination right from the beginning. We now know how to resist it. But in my country, Nigeria, in the federal government, in the state government, there is no discrimination. It may happen in private organizations, but they must continue to push to let them understand that the job content is the same. Well, you see, traditionally, under our culture, women are in the other room. Well, the quotation.
Yeah.
That's our society. That's our culture. It's going to take a long time to evolve. In my time, female education was not so-called popular. It's only the educated few that strove to send their children to school. They are girl child to school. They end up trading with their mothers or going to market and getting married off early. But as education began to rise in our community, its value was seen by my parents and others of their contemporaries to educate the girl child. And I believe the society is benefiting from that. So we must continue to push for the education of women, of girls. I have thought that, when I read that, the certain state government has appointed look at our National Assembly, 4 women in the Senate. Isn't that shameful? And that is the society. We have to continue to push women up. Let these political parties know that we want women. Let us organize ourselves to continue to vote for women massively. I give kudos to our governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. His cabinet women is well represented in his cabinet. And I enjoy that. I love him for that. And I continue to urge him to do more. He's done a lot. I think Lagos State has the largest representative of women in cabinet. First of all, they have to project themselves in their office space, their workspace. Let everybody know that they are equal to the task. Let us organize. There's a lot of society groups and societies that cater for the interests of women. I believe now violence against women is reducing in the society because there are sanctions for such behavior. I must say that speaking to the organization in charge of violence against women, I was amused to learn that some men come there to complain and that they are also being violated and abused.
Yes, it's a two-way thing.
It's a two-way thing. So that is reducing our society. Education of the girl child is important. We have to let the locals know that education is important. Let them showcase to them the lives of those who have been educated and who are holding high positions. I'm glad that our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has returned history to the classrooms. It's important. Let them know about people that have contributed to the development of our societies and country. It's important. Yes, it's education. It's education. Once people are educated and they know that there is nothing a man can do that a woman cannot do when it comes to the workplace. We have women engineers, miners, and also all of that. Give me a job specific that a woman cannot do, then I'll change my views. So the moment you begin to upgrade education, let government now continue to vote more for education. I don't believe we are doing enough. There is a UN convention And I think Nigeria is part of that convention, that a certain amount of a nation's income should be devoted to education. I'm not sure whether Nigeria is complying with that. But some states are better than others. And we must, education, I believe in education of the girl child. Some states now are taking children, girls off the street. Walking is completely prohibited. Things like that will help. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we are not advanced enough to use our votes to change things. We are still not voting for individuals. We are voting for parties, irrespective of performance. Education will help. And when we join other nations for the same purpose, we get results. Our organizations who are fighting for women in Nigeria should join worldwide organizations to showcase our own situation and learn. I believe that when you talk to others, you come back with ideas on how to improve things. So we must improve things by telling women in positions to continue to prove that they are more than up to the task. It will not come to us on a platter of gold. We must show by our actions and behavior that we are up to the task. Of course, some women are wrong in claiming equal rights to their husbands in the house. I completely abhor that behavior. Even though they are husband and wife, the man in my culture remains the head. He should be respected. His views should be respected. It's only now the condition of living is so high that you join the two incomes together to run the house. In the past, it was the men that ran the house to pay for everything. Maybe some of these women are thinking that because they are contributing a quota to the development, that they have equal rights. Yes, they have equal rights on the upbringing of the children in their homes and everything. But respect is important. That will keep the home, and the children will learn and imbibe it into their own children too. Equal right does not, in my view, mean that you can be rude, can not submit to your husband's wishes. Equal right means something differently. Respect comes out of it. It's important. I go out and I'm like appalled at the way women dress. There's a competition to show as much of your body, to produce as much of your body that you can. It's absolutely disgusting. They're not women. They're no longer women. The exposure, things that if you did in my time, a member of the community will cover you with a cloth and send you home. Because community mattered at that time. You dare not misbehave outside your compound because this community is watching you. And reprimanding you if you go wrong, if you behave badly outside. That is law. And that is why you see people, even their dressing, show disrespect to womanhood and to themselves and to the community. We must learn, teach our children etiquette of dressing, speech, how to think and speak in a decent manner. We don't have it anymore. We're losing it, and it's shameful because people are appreciating naked women on the streets. Both sides. If people dress badly, and you tell them and ignore them, they won't try the next time. For instance, I believe nobody can dress to come to my house or to come to my party like a naked woman. I will turn her back. I will turn her back. So that's the type of thing that we should all do. Let the people doing this know that we do not appreciate things like this. When the society itself corrects it, we must correct it individually. We should, if their parents cannot correct it, we must, by ignoring them and not allowing them to come near us. Show our women that have contributed to the society. Show them, showcase them, showcase them.
Yeah.
We have the first woman senior advocate of Nigeria. We have Okonjo Iweala. We have, in the UN. We have all sorts. We have, what's this pharmaceutical woman? She's done so much. The younger ones are there. Little ones like Shadi Okoya is managing her husband's company and doing well. Let's encourage them. They are young. The young ones, they are working to improve the society. There's so many of them out there. We should showcase them. Let them know that we have women who are of top quality, intelligent, and well-behaved, and they dress well. Dressing well is dressing in a manner that is appealing to the eyes, not nakedness. That's my darling, this new CJN of Nigeria.
Okay.
Who do that? I did talk about Kekere. I mean, we're there. Female CJN. Yeah. And there are so many female chief judges all over the Federation. There are so many in the medical profession, in the engineering profession. We have pilots. So let them know that there is nothing that a woman cannot do. In IT, in everything, women are moving forward. We should showcase them. We should let their pictures be seen in our newspapers, in our news, in everything, to encourage young girls that you too can get there. If they don't see and if they don't know the history of these women, how they got there, they too will not be inspired. We have to inspire the young people with the achievements of women achievers. Kekere rose from magistrate to right to the top. I admire her. She's well composed, well behaved. Some of these people, when they become something, they lose their heads. They start with, no, she's so respectful, well behaved, well dressed. I don't think she would allow herself or her children to come out naked. Never. So people like that, Okonjo Iweala the same. We have a lot.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by SOUQ to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor, social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio to 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party. And Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was. Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy, to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was commissioner, and later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became High Commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was a position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of the Sketch group of companies as well. And that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan. And then he went back into private legal practice. And then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement. And then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the women once were not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do, And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
The kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, 3 daughters. My oldest is 31. She studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class upper. Proud of her. She's an art curator today. And I have twin girls as well who are also in university now, that they haven't graduated yet. One of them is in Oxford University. She's studying history and politics. And the other is in Cambridge University. She's studying human, social, and political sciences. So, yeah. I did. My father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had. and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.O.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun, God bless his memory. No, I didn't. I took an opposite route from my father. My father went into politics straight immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Osun State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I would say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife, went to the Nigerian Law School. I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, you know, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me. And I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses, give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law. And there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to do with shipping, banking, criminal law are put put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with our shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Well, Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria's never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. Now, that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair. In fairness, we ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 constitution, or do they want to drop a new one. If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means they've indirectly approved the 1999 constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. Every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has an advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now, have their own state. Same thing can be said, it's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance, now. We have 36 state governments. So that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we're now going back. So at the end of the day, many of the state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. In the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the MacPherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased, neither were the NPC, because they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like you said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So it was the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter. And it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions. And that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country, and it's just a question of its continuing with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from of the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. That decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. That's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Osun about 10 years ago under Rauf Aregbesola, and it was an issue we took quite seriously. In Osun State, we had quite a number of youths who are unemployed. And the governor thought, what can I possibly do to give them something to do, to keep them employed? So he created what we call the Osun State Youth Empowerment Scheme. Now, under the State Youth Empowerment Scheme, unemployed youths were given particular tasks in states. Help us sweep the roads. Some were part-time lecturers. Some were doing all sorts of things. They were given a stipend. It wasn't a full-blown salary. Or the salary, although the stipend was enough to keep them to be able to buy things, to be able to buy themselves drinks and food, and kept them occupied until they could find themselves a job. And I think the federal government could follow that kind of scheme, set up a youth empowerment scheme whereby which unemployed youths are given things to do. There's so many things that need to be done in Nigeria. You know, there's so many gaps whereby which the youths can help do that. In the interim, while they find themselves something more gainful or something more permanent. So it's a question, it's for government to do. It's for government to think of a way of helping out the youths. And of course, there should be partnerships, a partnership between the government and private enterprise to try and encourage them to take on more of our youths, and not necessarily those who have schooled abroad, who they think are probably the best in terms of employment. No, we have many here who can do a good job as well. Sustaining democracy is about discipline. It's about the people being disciplined. It's about those who rule us being disciplined. I started out by telling you that this is the longest government we've had. It's the longest republic we've had. We've had democracy now since 1999, 26 years. If you go back to the days of independence, there's been no republic that has been this long. So it shows that the people have embraced democracy. They've come to it's part of us now. They've come to enjoy it. Yes, there are hiccups in terms of the fact that we could do a lot better in terms of how we implement things. But in terms of the people yearning for democracy and imbibing it, I think we've done very well. And what we just need to do is just to try and perfect it. One of the ways, like I said much earlier, is to perhaps take a second look at the Constitution, see where areas where we can improve, and try and make people happy, and at the same time reduce the cost of governance. But I don't think democracy is going anywhere. I think it's here to stay.
A system of governments in which the authority to make decisions and govern comes from the people, either directly or through leaders, chosen by them in free and fair elections. Democracy is to govern on behalf of all people, upholding their dignity and fundamental rights, and ensuring their full participation in society. The International Day of Democracy is observed every year on September 15 by all United Nations member states as established by the United Nations General Assembly in 2007. The day reaffirms the importance of democracy, promotes democratic values worldwide, and recognizes the role of governments in responding to the will of the people. It emphasizes that democracy is not only a political system, but also a way of life that guarantees human rights, fosters development, and ensures participation, equality, and accountability. While forms of democracy differs around the world, its fundamental principles, free and fair elections, rule of law, transparency, and inclusive participation are universal. The day is marked by activities organized by governments, parliaments, civil society, educational institutions, and international bodies. These include public debate, seminar, cultural events, policy dialogue, educational programs, media campaign, and online engagements. Each year, the United Nations selects a theme reflecting a pressing issue in democratic governance. Past themes have included democracy and conflict prevention, strengthening democratic resilience in the face of future crises, and empowering the next generation. The focus often highlights youth participation, freedom of expression, free press, civil liberties, and challenges such as disinformation, exclusion, and dictatorship. The United Nations Secretary General and heads of democratic institutions typically issue formal messages reaffirming global commitment to democracy. In recent years, the observance has become increasingly vital in the face of political polarization, misinformation, suppression of liberties, and erosion of democratic institutions. The day serves as both a celebration of democratic ideals and a call to action for leaders, citizens, and organizations to strengthen governance. It encourages reflection on how democracy can be made more inclusive, transparent, and effective, particularly for marginalized and underrepresented communities. At its core, the day underscores that sustainable peace, development, and human dignity cannot be achieved without active, informed citizen participation, and that democracy must be continually nurtured and defended. Praise Matthias, SOUQ News TV.
Hi, my name is Grace Komolafe. Welcome to Cashcraft, your daily guide to profitable ideas inspired by African heritage, global markets, and local possibilities. Today we'll travel north to Libya, a country known for its oil, but one whose hidden treasure lies in leather. Yes, premium leather crafted by desert hands and traded through centuries. But this is not just Libya's story. This is a business opportunity you can tap into. From Kano to Accra, Lusaka to Nairobi. Let's break it down. But do not forget that this is not a professional guide, rather a wake-up call and an eye-opener to the many opportunities out there. Now, the leather business is simple but strategic. From raw hide to refined fashion, the value chain runs deep. What you need raw material, which is animal hides. It could be from goats, sheep, cow, or camel. That's up to you. You need tanning. This helps you turn hide into durable leather. Other elements involve crafting, which is the process of making bags, shoes, belts, sandals, wallets, and more. Branding plus sales. This can be achieved via online platforms, boutiques, or local markets. One thing you need to know is that Libya's traditional leather is thick, durable, and often dyed using natural desert herbs, an edge for eco-conscious buyers. That's your niche, right? Now, are you ready for this business? Then let's get familiar with the necessary steps so you can get started. Step 1. Source your raw materials. Connect with local abattoirs, herders, or meat sellers. In Libya, camel and goat hides are popular, cheap but durable. Step 2. Tanning. You either set up a basic tanning unit using lime, salt, water, sun drying, or partner with a local tannery. Modern vegetable tanning is eco-friendly and adds brand value. Step 3. Crafting your products. Start small. Leather, wallets, bracelets, passport covers, all of that. You can just pick any. Needed tools, cutter, hole puncher, edge burnisher, thread, and all of that. Now, you need to train with a local cobbler or learn online. Hand stitching sells well. I just need to bring that information to you. We go to step 4, branding plus sales. Choose a unique name and logo, local yet global. Sell at local trade fairs, via media platforms, and all. Showcase your story. Something like inspired by Libyan nomads or desert leather.
African hands. You know what I mean, right? So let's go. Let's take it further by talking profit projection in 1 minute. Let's do the maths. Raw goat hide, say 2,000 naira. 2 split materials per wallet, I mean 1 wallet, 500 naira. Retail price for handmade leather wallet. It can cost for about 6,000 to 7,000 naira or even 10,000 naira. Now you want to sell 50 wallets monthly. That's a whopping 250,000 to 500,000 naira in revenue. Now scale to sandals and bags, and you are talking bigger figures. Are you ready? Okay, so let's look at the bonus tips. Go premium, I mean add stuffs like brass buckles, Ankara lining, or custom embossing to the items you make and scale up. Looking at the export angle, join platforms like Africrea, Etsy, or contact Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NIMC. Collaboration is key, so partner with fashion designers, gift bus companies, or tour operators. Look, whether you are in Sokoto or Satay, Morovia or Nisrata, leather is legacy and wealth is waiting in your hands. This time around, it is inspired by Libya and driven by your hustle. So this is Cashcraft, where heritage meets hustle, and every idea counts. I am Grace Komalafe. I'll see you again. Hello and welcome to another episode on Cashcraft, the show that helps you see business where others see problems. Today, we're talking about plastic waste recycling, a hustle that's turning pollution into profit. Without taking much of your time today, let's dive straight into it. We start with the steps. Step 1, start with collection. Plastic is everywhere. Sachets, bottles, packaging. But for business, PET bottles are gold. Start by partnering with waste pickers, shops, schools, or run your own buyback point. Now you're going to offer incentives. It could be 100 naira per kilogram, depending on location and type. You need to do research on that actually. So once collected, bottles must be sorted by color and type. So you know, clean, clear bottles fetch more money. So pay attention. Let's go to step 2. Clean, crush, cash, nests. What am I talking about? Wash them. Remove caps and labels. Then crush or shred them into flakes using a plastic crusher. These flakes are what buyers, local or export, actually want. Now clean, well-sorted flakes commands better prices. Think 200 to 350 naira per kilogram depending on quality. So with a semi-automatic line, you can process up to 1 ton daily. That's real volume and real money. Let's go to step 3. You need to know your market, your buyers, including local manufacturers or plastics textile companies. And even exporters, that's very important. You never can tell. Some flakes are shipped to India, China, Vietnam, or reused here in Nigeria to make buckets, chairs, or even new bottles. So let me give you a pro tip. You need to form relationships with aggregators or industrial buyers. And if you can process into pellets or fiber, your margins jump like boom. So step 4, add value, add impact. Don't just collect, create. Now some entrepreneurs now turn waste into tiles, paving bricks, and designer bags. I tell you, a lot is happening with recycling bottles. So you reduce plastic pollution and you add jobs while doing it. Step 5, learn the rules. This business is tied to regulations. So register with local waste authorities, and if you plan to export, get listed with NAFDAC or the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NIMC. Now complying means credibility and access to big opportunities. Recycler, na bottle we dey see everywhere, gutter, road, market, but with correct machine, you fit make better money. The work dey stressful, but if you no lazy, e go pay. Of course, there are challenges: dirty waste, poor sorting, market fluctuation.
Sometimes power supply slows down operations, but where others see nuisance, you should see niche. It's a dirty business with clean money. So here is your takeaways. Plastic recycling isn't just about helping the environment. It's a smart hustle. It's scalable, impactful, and already reshaping communities. From bottle to bank account, plastic is profit if you know the game. And I am Grace Komalafe. I'm here reminding you that waste is only waste when you waste it. Until next time, keep crafting your cash. Welcome to Cashcraft, where we uncover the gold in every enterprise. Today, we explore a buzzing opportunity that is sweet, sustainable, and seriously profitable: beekeeping and honey production. Nigeria's honey demand is rising, but supply still falls short, creating a lucrative gap in the market. Beekeeping is a low-capital agribusiness with high returns, especially when done organically. From honey to beeswax, propolis to royal jelly, every part of the hive has commercial value. Imagine this: low startup, high yield, a beginner-friendly venture with starter kits costing 50,000 naira to 150,000 naira and profit margins above 60% after the first harvest. That is very possible. Also, are you thinking climate advantage? Nigeria's tropical vegetation and long flowering seasons make it ideal for beekeeping almost year-round. So you know that's a good business to venture into. Now let's look at health and organic market boom. Natural unadulterated honey is in high demand. This demand kept increasing on a daily basis, not just locally, but across West Africa and international markets. And it is used for different purposes, from health to skincare, culinary, and more. You may need further research, professional advice to understand exactly what I am talking about. Now, value chain potential. Processing and packaging honey, producing beeswax candles, selling hives, or even offering training is the way to go. Do not miss out. Just so you know, this is a climate-smart, gender-inclusive business that doesn't require owning a land or intensive labor. Here is how to take advantage. Start small with training and support. Enroll in the basic beekeeping course. Many NGOs, agricultural institutions, and cooperatives offer short-term hands-on training. Join a cooperative to access shared equipment, farmland, and easier entry into the market. Invest in starter kits. Begin with 1 or 2 hives. Starter kits typically include protective gears, a smoker, hive tools, and a bee colony. All you need to get started. Explore the full value chain. Process and bottle raw honey for local or boutique markets. Create value-added products such as beeswax candles, lip balm, soap, and natural polish. Build and sell beehives or rent them to farms for pollination services. Offer training and mentorship as your experience grows. Target empowerment opportunities. That's very key. Many donor-funded projects now support climate-smart, land-light ventures like beekeeping, making it ideal for women and youth with limited capital but strong entrepreneurial drive. From the wild to the wallet, beekeeping is more than a craft. It's a golden opportunity. With the right training and tools, you can turn nature's sweetest gift into your next source of steady income. And you know what? You don't need to think twice. If you want to go into it, take that decision now and get started. I am Grace Komalafe, and this is Cashcraft. I'll see you again some other time. Bye. Hi, my name is Grace Komalafe. Welcome to Cashcraft, your daily guide to profitable ideas inspired by African heritage, global markets, and local possibilities. Today we travel north to Libya, a country known for its oil, but one whose hidden treasure lies in leather. Yes, premium leather crafted by desert hands and traded through centuries. But this is not just Libya's story. This is a business opportunity you can tap into. From Kano to Accra, Lusaka to Nairobi. Let's break it down. But do not forget that this is not a professional guide, rather a wake-up call and an eye-opener to the many opportunities out there. Now, the leather business is simple but strategic. From raw hide to refined fashion, the value chain runs deep. What you need raw material, which is animal hides. It could be from goats, sheep, cow, or camel. That's up to you. You need tanning. This helps you turn hide into durable leather. Other elements involve crafting, which is the process of making bags, shoes, belts, sandals, wallets, and more. Branding plus sales. This can be achieved via online platforms, boutiques, or local markets. One thing you need to know is that Libya's traditional leather is thick, durable, and often dyed using natural desert herbs, an edge for eco-conscious buyers. That's your niche, right? Now, are you ready for this business? Then let's get familiar with the necessary steps so you can get started. Step 1. Source your raw materials. Connect with local abattoirs, herders, or meat sellers. In Libya, camel and goat hides are popular, cheap but durable. Step 2. Tanning. You either set up a basic tanning unit using lime, salt, water, sun drying, or partner with a local tannery. Modern vegetable tanning is eco-friendly and adds brand value. Step 3. Crafting your products. Start small. Leather, wallets, bracelets, passport covers, all of that. You can just pick any. Needed tools, cutter, hole puncher, edge burnisher, thread, and all of that. Now, you need to train with a local cobbler or learn online. Hand stitching sells well. I just need to bring that information to you. We go to step 4, branding plus sales. Choose a unique name and logo, local yet global. Sell at local trade fairs, via media platforms, and all. Showcase your story. Something like inspired by Libyan nomads or desert leather, African hands. You know what I mean, right? So let's go. Let's take it further by talking profit projection in 1 minute. Let's do the maths. Raw goat hide, say 2,000 naira. 2 split materials per wallet, one wallet, 500 naira. Retail price for handmade leather wallet. It can cost for about 6,000–7,000 naira or even 10,000 naira. Now you want to sell 50 wallets monthly. That's a whopping 250,000 to 500,000 naira in revenue. Now scale to sandals and bags, and you are talking bigger figures. Are you ready? Okay, so let's look at the bonus tips. Go premium, add stuffs like brass buckles, Ankara lining, or custom embossing to the items you make, and scale up. Looking at the export angle, join platforms like Africrea, Etsy, or contact Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC. Collaboration is key, so partner with fashion designers, gift bus companies, or tour operators. Look, whether you are in Sokoto or Satay, Morovia or Nisrata, leather is legacy and wealth is waiting in your hands. This time around, it is inspired by Libya and driven by your hustle. So this is Cashcraft, where heritage meets hustle, and every idea counts. I am Grace Komalafe. I'll see you again.